Emmanuel Emerson is a young leader on a mission to empower young people and protect our planet. He is a public speaker, environmental enthusiast, and ocean climate advocate who's all about equipping young people with the skills and knowledge to make a real difference. A graduate of the 2023 Millennium Fellowship, Emmanuel has seen firsthand how passionate young people can be when it comes to tackling climate change. This year alone, he has trained over 2,000 plus young people on climate advocacy and environmental awareness. He's fired up to see the ripple effect his work is having on youth, both directly and indirectly. You will find him as the Environment Officer at Cameroon, a non-governmental organization fighting for a sustainable future, and as the founder of Community-Based Climate Advocates, a dynamic youth association using social media to inspire action. Emmanuel is passionate about building a brighter future for generations to come. He believes that together we can make a difference. You are welcome to Gaza Media, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you.
So, in your opinion as an environmentalist, what are the effects of waste accumulation along the streets of Where?
Okay, firstly, I would love to say that waste accumulation has caused a lot of pollution. When waste is being accumulated, it causes land pollution, air pollution, water pollution, and all the different forms of pollution that you can ever imagine. You'll notice that when people accumulate waste because of ignorance, I would say, this waste is being eroded during the rainy season and it ends up in the ocean and it gets to affect marine life. Also, air pollution. You will notice that when you pass across the streets of Boya, areas that are inundated with increased amount of waste, you will find out that those areas are always slightly and they produce a toxic gas, and that can affect the health of people. Another is the blockage of waterways. You will notice that there have been increase in flooding. Now, for example, Limbe, right? There have been increase in flooding in Limbe because of accumulation of waste. The same in Boya. But we do have flash floods like the one we had the last time. Stuff like blockage of waterways can contribute to it. So because they accumulate waste by the roadside, this waste gets to end up in waterways. And since it ends up in waterways, the water does not have an easy access for it to flow, and that in turn causes floods. Another could be spread of diseases. Because when you accumulate waste, you create an avenue for mosquitoes to breed, and it also invites pests like rats, mosquitoes as well, and they carry diseases to humans like typhoid, malaria, and others. And if this is not treated or worked on, there will be increase in diseases, pollution, and others.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. So moving forward, you once organized a conference with the aim of educating the masses on plastic recycling.
That's right.
So, do you think that this conference was a success given the fact that the still accumulation of waste on the streets of Goya?
Well, I would say it was a success, but I'll say that contextually because, that single program cannot change the entire paradigm of the state of waste in Boya. But what I'll say is that the goal of the conference was to empower young people in the University of Boya to develop eco-friendly habits, where you don't just walk on the road and throw waste, and we have to do a practical session of what they can do with waste. So I strongly believe that it was a success because at the end of the day, we got remarks from people saying that they have been empowered, they know what to do with their waste. Some of them got practical tips, some of them even had to take back some of the stuff that we did during the practical session for them to be able to use their waste. This stuff that they usually put toothbrush in. Yes, we have to create something like that so that when you have plastics at home, you don't get to discard them. You could create something that you keep your toothbrush in it and use in your houses. So people have been doing that, and I'll say from that perspective, it has been a success. But if you are talking in regards to the general waste situation in Boya, I don't think it affected that much.
Thank you. So, do you organize this conference just for youth? Because you mentioned that you organize in the University of Boya, and have you tried organizing the same conference in other villages like Semunia or Bumaka, where this waste accumulation is really peculiar?
Okay, I haven't organized that particular conference in other areas like the ones you stated, because that particular conference was under Millennium Fellowship, was a project that I had to carry out, as one of my projects for Millennium Fellowship. And so I chose the University of Boya because of the time frame and because it was more accessible. So that's why I had to carry it out in the University of Boya. But then we carried out another project, not waste, but similar to environment in Idinao. And that project was to empower people on sustainable fishing. And I think carrying out project in communities really empowers people as well.
It does. I actually agree. It does. So, as an environment officer rather at SUNE Cameroon, what strategies have been put in place to make sure that the fight for a sustainable future is attained? As I remember, that's one of your objectives. So, what are the strategies being put in place?
Well, as the environmental officer of SUNE Cameroon, there are so many things we do to ensure that we make things work. One of the things we always do often is beach cleanup campaigns. Now, people have been saying that beach cleanup campaigns is not positive because the moment you clean, you come and find waste again, and community cleanup campaigns. Since we are talking about the city of Boya, so the last time we had a community cleanup campaign in Sandpit, I remember, and we gathered over, I think it should be 4,000 tons of plastic. The reason is because we went to the community, told them where they should keep their plastics, and they did that for us. So we came there, we did little cleanup, but then we were carrying what have already been packaged. We empowered someone that will be taking care of the plastics, and then we'll come, we'll give him some money, and he make things work for us. So that in turn reduced the degree of plastics in the community, and then we carry these plastics and send them to Douala to a recycling company. So that was an initiative that we brought up. Another thing is sensitization and workshops. Yes, we just carried out a workshop at the Fire Summit at Bonduma. Now that was intended to empower people on renewable energy. But last year we had a Wind Summit, which was youth engagement to beat plastic pollution. That was the theme of the summit, and that was intended to empower people on plastic pollution as one of our initiatives. Another is partnering with non-governmental organizations. Yesterday I was with the members of our squad and the Light organization. We were at the 4 different beaches in Limbe so as to prepare for the international beach coastline project that we have coming on. So partnering with other organizations is one of the ways we see that we can make this work, because doing it on ourselves I don't think we can do so much impact. And lastly is a recycling workshop. We had a recycling workshop still at Sandpit where we got the leverage to be able to turn plastics to tiles, the tiles that people work on. Yes, we had to do that workshop where they transform plastic to tiles, where they got to mix, I think it's cement and sand, then add the plastic to it to be able to make tiles and pavements. So that's the little that we do to be able to contribute to this.
That's a lot, and coupled with the fact that you work mostly with youth, and like the saying goes, youths are the future leaders of tomorrow. So definitely that vision is going to be achieved. So last question before you head out, what recommendations or solutions can you suggest to our viewers concerning waste?
Well, concerning waste, I'm just going to give you what I call heads-on tips that you can use in your very house, because one of the challenges that we have in Cameroon is that our waste is not sorted. So you can go to a dumpster, you can go to a trash can, you find all kinds of things there. The waste is not sorted, and that's why the recycling facility, the waste management facility, I think company Hezakam is having a challenge, because when they want to come and carry waste, especially during the rainy season where everything is wet and dumped, there is a big challenge. So what I suggest each and every person listening to me right now to do is, I want you to have a recycling facility at home. And facility does not mean something big. Just have an area where you put biodegradable waste, an area where you put non-biodegradable waste. And what do I mean by this? Biodegradable waste, like things that biodegradable waste are waste that can decay. So things like plantain cover and other kitchen waste, you can find somewhere to keep it. Things like plastic, you can find somewhere to keep it. Doing this sorting in the level of household can help a lot. Some people just carry their waste and throw behind the house after they are done cooking. Some people, when they are done with the kitchen, they just discard their waste improperly. So if we can, at the level of the household, do this, it would help. Secondly, I think increasing sensitization, like what we are doing right now, is a powerful tool. Do you know, one time we had a program and we left trash cans by the roadside so that people should deposit the waste that they have generated, and we saw someone passing by a trash can, did not deposit the waste and just threw it by the roadside. because that person is not empowered on how it is that you are supposed to behave. That person does not have what we call eco-friendly attitudes. That person is supposed to develop an eco-friendly attitude in which you know that when you have waste, you don't deposit it until you find the trash can. If you don't carry this kind of mindset, there's no way that we can make change, because a lot of people think the waste in US, the government is trying the best they can do, but we on our own part have to do something, and we have to make things work. Another thing we can do is recycling. And recycling does not necessarily mean a big company doing something big. You can do recycling, which I call domestic recycling, at the level of the household. So maybe you have plastics, you could change them to something else. Just try to be innovative. If you don't know, there are tons of videos on YouTube that will teach you how to change waste into other things. In short, the word waste means something that is not used at a particular place and at a particular time. So let's say this shirt that I'm wearing right now, after 4 years, it will not be very important. But some people can pick and throw, it can become my rag. So I've used it for something else. I must not necessarily dump by the roadside. I can reuse it and use it for something. So while you are recycling, you can reuse, and then you in turn reduce the amount of waste that is generated.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. Like they say, charity begins at home. So it's not all about the government taking care of our waste, but it begins from us, the individuals who actually dump the waste on the road.
That's right.
So, thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, once more for sharing with us the negativity on environmental crisis. And thank you, viewers, for watching, for hosting the show. I am Karen Idralim.
Thank you.